Shivarali says, what was there in southern India when in the north there was the Indus Valley Saraswati Sindhu civilization? Okay, let us go back to the map and try and understand the situation. So, this is the map. Now, our history textbooks, our history teachers, your history text teachers will tell you that there was something called the Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization. And it was mainly in western and northern India. Okay, that's what they will say. Now, let me explain this to you in case you are new to the channel or you've not heard me say this before. That this was not some separate civilization that existed and disappeared. This so-called Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization, which should actually be called the Saraswati Sindhu civilization or Saraswati Sindhu phase of our history, it was not some separate civilization and some other people who lived there and they vanished. It was a certain phase of our history. Okay, us as in all of India, the entire subcontinent plus, which includes the people of Afghanistan, Pakistan, even Iran, the whole of the subcontinent, Bangladesh, everybody. You get the point. This was a phase, a certain time period, limited time period of our history. Our history goes back 10,000 years minimum. And the oldest era of our history is where you have the what the historians call the pre-Harappan phase or whatever. Okay, and we know that this okay, so we know that this civilization or this phase of our history was an urban phase of our history, and this entire region, the Saraswati Sindhu region, or the this so-called civilization that existed there, its geographical extent was greater than Egypt plus Mesopotamia put together. Gigantic, huge, monstrous. Okay, uh, the boundaries were essentially, see, it included parts of Afghanistan, much of, if not all of Pakistan, some parts of easternmost Iran, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, northern India, all the way to Madhya Pradesh and parts of Maharashtra. Huge geographical region. And what we saw in this region was complete standardization of weights and measure, the same language, the same symbols, the same culture, and all of that, which is a continuation, and that culture still continues today. The cultural elements that you see in that era of our history are still visible today. A lot of them. Similar gods, the same yoga poses, the same mangame sindoor, so the red oak, the red pigment that ladies put on their in the parting of their hair, the same bangles, and the same story of the crow and the pebbles, and so much more. Okay, so Pashupati worship, Shiva worship, bull worship, all of that. So we still have elements of that in today's Indian society, even though it is now eroding away very rapidly. But just like India today is an interconnected nation, even back then the whole of the subcontinent was interconnected. Now, our historians and archaeologists have not done enough to uncover the archaeological history of southern India and eastern India. That's why we don't know much as to what was going on in southern India and eastern India during the time period of during the Saraswati Sindhu phase of our history. Of course, now we are discovering sites like Kiladi and much more, but it's just baby steps that we are taking. So we are unfortunately facing a lack of archaeological evidence and data right now. A lot more needs to be done to uncover the interconnections between the various regions of the subcontinent. But just like today, the whole subcontinent was interconnected, and the Brahmi script is found even all the way down south in places like Kiladi and whatever other places we have. I forget the names right now. In Tamil Nadu, in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, the Brahmi script, right, which is uh, a more standardized form of the Saraswati Sindhu script. So we have that everywhere, but we are facing a dearth and shortage of data points and evidence. So the ASI needs to get its act together and bring out more evidence, more archaeological evidence. But I assure you that the whole of the subcontinent was interconnected. and we have the same culture all over the place in different forms, of course, very different forms. Our culture manifests itself in a variety of different ways, some of which look very different from each other, but it's still the same culture if you go deeper. So that's what I can say. We need to do a lot more archaeological work, which is not happening for whatever reason. But yeah, hopefully someday, probably during our lifetimes, hopefully it will happen, and we'll get to know more.